Secret Genius, episode 5 now. This is my reaction, and this is the whole thing. I'm giving an overview kind of reaction because I suspect I'm going to go off into little different directions and do separate videos for Ollie and different things like that, and, what does a genius look like? Overall, my impression was this isn't about finding the person with the highest IQ. This show isn't about doing that. They're saying who's the secret genius and who can jump through these hoops here. And I think at the beginning, and I feel the way some of the contestants were speaking, it was who's going to prove to be the person with the highest IQ. And this episode, out of all of the episodes, made me feel like that's not the case. That's not what they're going for. Why? Because there was a stinky game where you were paired off, and it just depended on whether you got through to the next round, who you chose as your partner and who you were paired off with, because you could have two people who were completely great, and then you would be out. If the person that you were competing against had a slightly better time than you, even though you'd completed it and you'd done amazing, you were out. Now, I felt that it was kind of unfair, but for me, this is what tipped it into. This is not about finding the highest IQ. This is a show. This is about finding the so-called secret genius, and maybe that person happens to have the highest IQ, but maybe not. And I think previous episodes, I was starting to feel that, but as soon as they brought in the game with the pairs, I thought, oh, for sure, this is an entertainment thing. This is not about finding the highest IQ. Why do I bother saying that? Because particularly Team Ollie's my girl, she was saying how she understands better about what her intelligence and different things is. And I wanted to say to her, and I'm pretty sure she's not going to be watching, but I wanted to say to her, no, you don't. You don't know what your intelligence is. You don't know what your IQ is. There is so much more for you to figure out than is just on that show. You do not know. You don't know what your IQ is. You don't know intelligence. And you absolutely 100% definitely do not know what is possible for you. I'm Team Ollie all the way. Now, previously I spoke about this idea that typically with the Mensa test, they do sort of more the verbal reasoning and then the pattern matching, sort of what I saw it as being more numerical, but I think there's different words for it. And they separated it, and it was who got the highest on that test and that test, and that they were separate. Now, what I've said to you about these different games is that they're putting things together and sort of averaging it out, which isn't good for people who may be weaker at some of sort of the anagram games and different things like that. So all of them, unless they've now gone on to do different IQ tests and to do it in a more strict situation, all of them have had this averaging out. But this time now they've got that unfair, well, I say unfairness, it's a game, it's a show, that's fine. It felt a bit mean to me. It felt like, oh, you've changed the game a little bit here. And Susie said, in some ways, we're testing how they cope with pressure. What do you mean? What do you mean, in some ways? Like, in a lot of ways. This is the whole thing, how they cope with pressure. Now, I wanted to say about the Mensa test and run through, because there will be pressure if you go on and do the Mensa test. There is pressure involved with that, but it's nothing like having a TV crew and these strange rooms and strange games and, different things like that. What happens with the Mensa test, typically what they used to do is have like a fairly simple little test in a newspaper or a different publication. And then if you were interested, you could ask, and they would send you a test that you could do at home. Now, as I say, this was 30 years ago that I did it, so I would guess it's online now. But for me, they sent me a test to do at home, and it was, okay, this is a lot harder than the test that I did in the newspaper. But I did that, sent that in. And then if you get above a certain mark, you can be invited to do sort of an exam conditions kind of test. So that was where we went. I don't know whether it was a college or a university, and it was a big hall, just like sitting exams at school, and we all had our own individual desks, and then there was a paper there, and you went through it. Now, if you don't get into Mensa from that test, you're asked if you want to do the second test, which is the slightly different one. And I said, yes, I would. And I went back and did the second test, and that was the one that I got into Mensa with. Why I'm saying that is that these contestants say that, oh, it's getting harder now. And it's like, that is the experience of doing the different tests. It gets harder. And then they were saying, and then the time is reduced. Yes, the time is reduced. Now, for them, obviously, there's a lot of pressure with the whole situation. There was a certain degree of pressure when sitting these different exams and different tests. But obviously it was nothing at all like being on a TV show. But there is a sense of pressure of, I want to do well, and different things like that. So in a way, you are being tested for how you handle that pressure. So I do think that's probably inevitable, that in everything we do, we're tested for, can we stay calm, and how we perform under pressure. Now, the one thing in this that I didn't recall was there seems to be a lot of memory tests in this show. And I was thinking, I don't remember being tested about my memory. And also, I ended up looking it up because I thought, I'm not sure memory has anything to do with IQ, but I don't know anything about it. So I Googled it, and it said, yes, there's a high correlation between having a good working memory and higher IQ. Because you can, if you've got a good working memory, then you can juggle and manipulate the information and hold on to that, and spot patterns and different things more easily. And I don't remember. I don't, which is I don't know. I don't remember them testing my memory, because I suspect if they did test my memory, I wouldn't have done quite so well, would I? But for me, it was more about handling the pressure and just doing the two different types of tests. Now, the other thing I was going to say is everybody talks about confidence and about not knowing how to prepare. So this is kind of, as I say, this is a general overview of different things. People do prepare for IQ tests, and they do. Certainly when I was applying for grammar school, which is kind of like an IQ test, people were sitting practice papers and we're having coaches and different things like that. My mum didn't believe in it, so I didn't. but as I say, you can do. And certainly when I did the two different tests, what I noticed when I was going to the place and sitting the exam was, as I was going through the different questions, I was thinking, this is a lot harder and it's a lot faster. What for the first test that I did, sorry, I'm not sure, I keep calling it test, and then I'm not sure if I'm calling it exam sometimes, whatever it's called. I didn't complete it, the first one. So the second one I did, the technique that I had was, you don't reread the question twice. You read it, answer it, read it, answer it, read it, answer it, and at the end, go back if there's extra time. And I think even just something as small as that, as having some understanding of how that time pressure works and how fast it can be, and that if you're stopping and needing to reread a question, you might be better just waiting to see whether there's time at the end. Now, obviously, in these different quizzes and the games and different things they play, there wasn't really that opportunity to move on and then go back. But typically with the IQ test, you can do that. So that makes it much better and much easier. So my whole opinion of it is all these different things about, yes, they're testing pressure, and yes, that seemed a little bit unfair and more luck than anything else. And yes, I suspect there are some people, if you're somebody that does anagrams and quizzes and different things all the time, you will have picked up skills. It's not just, in my opinion, it's not just about an IQ. You're picking up things. I know from doing Sudoku or anything like that the first time I had a try at it, it was harder, and then the second time it gets a little bit easier and you start to recognize patterns. So it's a show. It's a game show, Joe. It's a quiz. It's not about finding the highest IQ. And I really hope that this confidence that they say that they're feeling in their IQ holds up when they see the program and they realize that it doesn't mean that the other people had higher IQs or anything like that. Not that that makes anybody better or worse anyway, but I hope that they realize that they still don't know what their intelligence is. There's still so much to explore, and none of us know what our potential is, which is what I did a whole page of notes on, and I should probably do another video because I have a feeling I need to be sort of Dr. Heal Thyself, because when I look at Ollie, I just want to, I don't know, encourage her and tell her to explore more and to do more. And I was thinking maybe the reason I care so much is that there's things that I need to remind myself about in terms of believing in myself and taking more risks and following my gut and trying more things and being a bit kinder to myself, or reminding myself that I do have this intelligence IQ and that there are probably a lot more that I could do that I'm not giving myself credit for or not pushing myself to do. So I shall be doing another video. Bye.